Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks playoff style, where perfection is a work in progress. I'm your host, Sam. Tarik has the night off. We hope his daughter feels better. Joining me, of course, is frequent collaborators and our wonderful picks analysts, Brady, Booger, and Jessica. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing pretty well. How about you, Sam?
I'm doing good. It's good to see everybody.
Good to see you too, buddy.
I'm just happy to be here.
Well, of course, we are brought to you by Morningwood Crafter, morningwoodcrafter.com, powered by design, crafted by hand, and Into Deep, the band. Booger, break down when the next show is.
Well, you see, Sam, the next Into Deep show is going to be February 4th at Fishhead Cantina, and that's a free show. All are welcome.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Guys, go out there, check them out. It's going to be a good time. Now, the regular season is over. Monday has come and gone, and I know some of these have happened afterwards, but the league likes to call this Black Monday. Coaches get fired. There's eight coaching vacancies if you include the Vegas Raiders, because technically their coach is currently an interim coach. So, Jess, what do you think is the most attractive of the open positions?
So I think it's Chicago, and I know Jacksonville really has the popular opinion, but I like what they did with getting Justin Fields, and they traded away a pick for it. But I think Justin Fields has the potential to be a really strong, multifaceted quarterback if he's developed properly. And obviously, Matt Nagy does not have a good history developing quarterbacks at all. But this season really showed like the fans are ready to win. They got pretty ugly with wanting to get rid of Matt Nagy this season pretty early on. And his play calling was just horrendous. So I feel like anybody that comes in after him is going to look 10 times better just based on that. As long as offensively, he isn't wishy-washy about the quarterback. He wants to develop the quarterback he has. He, isn't making really questionable or really, really terrible play calls. Also, the GM was let go as well. So somebody can bring in their own guy that they're comfortable with. And they have some decent cap space. So I would say Chicago. I think their defense also gives that good balance and gives them more of a chance to win. So somebody can come in there, feel comfortable because they have like somebody that they're comfortable with in a GM and some of the upper management, and make some positive things happen.
All right, break it down for us, Booger. What's your team?
So if I'm a head coach, I would be really excited to potentially go to Jacksonville. Despite them being a dumpster fire this year, I think that Jacksonville has an owner who really cares about the team. I think he's super passionate about it. So I think he'll empower whoever it is to do a good job. I know that a lot of people don't like the general manager, but I think because Trevor Lawrence towards the end of the season seemed like he started to get it a little bit. He's got a full season under his belt. I think he's still got a ton of talent. There's a lot of talent on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they've got over $60 million in cap space. So I think whoever comes in there is going to have a lot to work with. They can put their own stamp on it. And I also think from a player perspective, they're all going to be extremely eager to have a head coach that is not Urban Meyer. That being said, some of the early rumors, or it could be Byron Leftwich is on the interview list, Jim Caldwell and Doug Peterson. I think all three of them are kind of lackluster candidates. So I will be interested to see how that interview process goes, but I think it would be a great job to take.
Brady, what kind of wisdom can you give us?
I'm going to say the Denver Broncos. I know Tarik's going to love to hear me talking about his team, but that team really is just a quarterback and a good head coach away from possibly contending for that division. that all of their offensive weapons are signed under team-friendly long-term deals. The defense got better when they took it a step back to a more rudimentary style of defense. They have a lot of top picks on both sides of the ball. And like I said, I mean, they did well this year with, having Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback and then Drew Lock eventually. And they showed some real promise in that run game. So I think all it takes is the right head coach to come in and persuade one of these free agent quarterbacks that this is a team and this is a division worth fighting in. Now, granted, this is a very tough division to go and win in, but I definitely think the Broncos could be right there next year with the right philosophy and the right quarterback.
I think I'm going to surprise some people with my pick. A lot of these teams have a lot of upside, but I have the New York Giants. They have a very good defense, and with both Joe Judge out and the GM retiring, just like Jessica said, it gives a GM to put somebody in place who they're going to be comfortable with. I don't believe in the quarterback situation there, but they have 2 top 10 picks this year in the draft. They could possibly package those 2 picks for another quarterback already in the league, an established quarterback, maybe a Russell Wilson, and get a good receiver in the draft. And I think that may put them into playoff contention every year. Their previous coach was just he was bad. He was bad. Their defense was the best part about that team. The offense was putrid, and he just I think he lost the locker room. And of course, Saquon Barkley in the backfield, when he's healthy, he is a monster. So I think that's probably, in my opinion, the best job currently open in the NFL. All right. So the regular season has ended. Let's take a look at how we finished the season. Let's go on to our standings. Brady and I tied for first place. It was a close race, as you can see. And I actually kind of like that crown because my head's currently tilted and it just fits.
Oh, it just makes sense because I got a big head, so it wouldn't fit right on top of mine.
Of course, third goes to Jessica, who made it really close towards the end. Tarik in fourth. Good effort. And Brian in fifth, and Tom way in the cellar. Brian, you had a lot of really good weeks, but you had some really bad weeks too.
Yeah, that happens when you don't pick.
I feel you.
Yeah. But let's take a look at the playoff field. We're going to start with the AFC here. And what we have here is a breakdown of the last time that each of these teams made the playoffs when they got their last win. Some of these teams, it's been a long time. The Bengals haven't won a game since 91.
90. I thought it was 90. Was it 91?
It was a 90 season, but it was in 1991 that happened. So yeah, it's a little weird with the NFL because of that. And you can also see how many Super Bowls each team has won. And it's spoiler alert, it's heavier towards the NFC side this year. But
not surprised, honestly. The caliber of teams that are currently in the NFC and down the stretch really does not surprise me.
Doesn't really surprise me either, considering the dynasties, the former dynasties that are in there. I mean, you got the Steelers on the AFC side, the Patriots, the Raiders have 3. But on the NFC side, you have the Cowboys, the 49ers, the Green Bay Packers. I mean, you got teams that have been there many, many times. But this is a pretty cool microcosm. Bengals could get their first wins since 91. That would be awesome. But let's take a look at the NFC side. Some of these teams, a lot of these teams have won a game in the last decade. And as you can see, we have those classic Super Bowl teams in the league this year.
I mean, I think this just goes to show, like, the NFC, I feel like, is the more competitive division out of the two. Because I mean, it says it right here. The last playoff appearance, the furthest one back was 2016, and that granted was 7 years ago. But in football terms, I mean, I don't think that's that long. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals really have like come up in the last 2 or 3 years, and they have stopped being the albatross that drafted Leinart and those terrible quarterbacks. So I think it's going to be a very interesting playoffs.
I do not think you mean to use the word competitive when that statement. Because if you're talking about in general, AFC is always there's always a bunch of teams vying for that spot because they are all in the same position, and it's usually a winning position. Whereas the NFC every year, especially last year, I mean, we had teams with losing records getting into the playoffs just because it was that bad and it was not competitive at all. And even this year, teams in the NFC have stood out so much more, the winning teams, than the losing teams. So it's not as competitive, whereas AFC is always neck and neck.
I think that speaks to the competitive nature of the NFC more, because the teams that do wind up making the playoffs have more losses because they play teams and they lose to them who are potentially better on paper or have a better game plan or whatnot. It seems like in the AFC, we always seen those same teams, the Ravens, the Steelers, Kansas City, sometimes LA, because they are perennially better than the competition. At least in the NFC, granted, the Niners and the Eagles and even the Cardinals down the stretch, they fell off without DeAndre Hopkins, but they don't have the records that I feel like indicate their level of play.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. You tend to see a lot of the same teams in the Super Bowl on the AFC side. NFC side, you got a little bit more of a diversity, I want to say. I mean, you've had the Rams, the Eagles, the Packers, the Buccaneers, all in the last 5 years. So, I mean, in the AFC, it's been KC twice and New England for the most part. So,
what was the stat for a long time? It was like there was only it was either Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, or Joe Flacco who won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And that's how it was in the AFC for the longest time. And currently is. You see this.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking competitive, meaning like a tighter race every year, like that kind of competitive, not like mixing it up with the different teams every year, I guess. So yeah, I read that differently.
No worries. Well, speaking of tight races, let's Jessica, let's start with you. We're gonna break down our picks for the NFC and AFC Championship game. Jessica, take it down.
All right. So I have, you want me to go from this week?
No, start with the AFC Nfc Championship game.
Oh, okay. So we're skipping. All right. AFC Nfc Championship game. I have the Titans and the Bills in the AFC, and I'm not super confident in this. And I have the Cardinals and the Packers in the NFC. I feel like the Titans, with Derrick Henry coming back and he's looking healthy, when they get to the even when they get to the AFC Championship game, there's not going to be much of an answer for them. They've been a sleeper for quite a while, and they've been winning even without him. Quite a bit of confidence in them. Earlier in the year, the AFC Championship game has kind of already played out, but it was much earlier in the year. It was the Titans and the Bills game, and the Bills did lose, even with the Titans missing out on some of their key plays in the game. Like there were some pretty big drop passes that were clearly would have been scores. Nobody in the backfield, and then when they're back to full strength, I think that they'll continue to hold the Bills' offensive games.
30 seconds.
Sorry. Yep. So Josh Allen and all, they won't have anything. And then the NFC, I'm gonna say Arizona, Green Bay. I think it's going to be an awesome game. I don't think Kyler Murray is going to, and the Cardinals are going to be able to keep up with Green Bay. There's
10
just
seconds.
nobody that can right now. Yeah, sorry, pressure. Green Bay wins.
Well done.
Perfect. I don't like that pressure. Oh,
2
I was
minutes
supposed to
goes
talk about
fast.
Super
Hmm?
Bowl?
That's what she said.
All right, Brady, I believe you are next. Who do you have in your AFC Nfc Championship games?
Let me check my notes here real quick.
Wait a
nope,
second.
that's not
That
my
doesn't
name.
say Brady.
That's not my name.
Oh, sorry.
Hi,
Ryan.
it's your boy Booger.
Booger.
So in the AFC, which I think is going to be a really interesting playoffs, especially this week, I have New England going to Tennessee. I think we kind of all leaning towards Tennessee being a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs, especially with a healthy, fresh Derrick Henry coming back. That's going to be a really good game, but I think inexperience from the quarterback is going to be what does New England in. And then on the NFC side of it, Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be a great matchup. Quite possibly Tom Brady's last game, although he's probably going to play 9 more years. But I don't know if he's going to have enough left in the tank, especially if Green Bay's at home. So I have Green Bay winning the NFC Championship for a Green Bay Tennessee Super Bowl, which is going to be, I think, very exciting because that's kind of a matchup we haven't seen before. And if you all remember from our initial picks, I am still going with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers to win it all.
Look at that. Took you a minute 10 to do it.
I didn't want to get yelled at for time.
I mean,
Don't
Jessica
worry, I'm gonna
was
get
so
yelled at.
focused on one game that she just never got to the
I
rest.
thought we were going through the playoffs and then doing the Super Bowl separately. So I
I'm s-
have a little thing for the Super Bowl. But
I am so
Don't-
sorry I threw you off for that, Jessica. Do you want
Don't
more
worry,
time?
I'll take up Booger's 50 seconds he didn't use.
All right, Brady, now it's your turn. Who do you got in the AFC Nfc Championship?
So for the AFC, I have the Cincinnati Bengals going against the Tennessee Titans. And for the NFC, I have the Dallas Cowboys against the Green Bay Packers. The Bengals have really impressed down the stretch. I think they've been, as I've said multiple times on this podcast before, they've played complementary football really well. But the thing is it doesn't seem like any team has enough corners to cover all of the weapons that Cincinnati has. And as my co-hosts have so righteously explained, that Derrick Henry is coming back. And I think he may not play as big of a role as we're expecting just because he is coming off a major ankle surgery. But teams are still going to have to account for him. Whether he sees 10, 20, 30 snaps a game, it's up in the air. But I think it's going to be enough to get Tennessee to the AFC Championship game. Not sure how much they'll have in the tank once they get there. For the NFC, I have the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers again. It's Aaron Rodgers. He's out to prove something this year. And honestly, I feel the same about Dallas. They've got a solid defense. They're playing really well on offense. The only knock against Dallas is they cannot run the ball between the tackles, which Green Bay excels in. But for my Super Bowl pick, I have the Green Bay Packers going against the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee has found a way to win games against good teams and lose against bad teams. They lost to the Jets and they lost to the Texans this year. Green Bay is by far, I think, one of the best teams on paper and on the field this entire season. Aaron Rodgers is having an MVP season, and that's why, like I said in our very first video of the year, the Green Bay Packers will be your Super Bowl champions this year.
20 seconds left, and he got it in. Now, there has been a request. We're going to go back a few because, Jessica, I did kind of put you on the spot and made you go first. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to give
I was just going to say something really quick. You don't have to go back to the slide about the
No.
Green Bay Tennessee Super Bowl. So it sounds like we all think Green Bay is it so far. But I was looking at some of their stats, and their rushing and passing defense are good. they're not like the top, but they're good. And I think that Tannehill will, he's kind of notorious for making mistakes, especially under pressure. And then the Rodgers, Adams, Lazard combos, they're way too good. And I don't think that Tennessee will be able to defend against it. And I believe his nickname is Quadzilla now. AJ Dillon, they call him Quadzilla. Giving the Packers a good run game as well. So it'll be it'll be a good game to watch, though. It'll be like a ground and pound. I don't think the corners can keep up with the passing game there. I mean, it's hard enough for like the best in the league to defend Devontae Adams and Lazard. So
I can't wait for Green Bay to be eliminated first next week, so we'll have to redo this whole thing.
It's not gonna happen.
Well, yeah, they to play second week of the playoffs, so at least they'll survive 1 week.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Let's move on. I'm gonna do Tarik's real quick because he's not here. We're gonna start with his AFC Nfc games. He has Buffalo against Tennessee, which most people have picked. Dallas at Green Bay, which is what Brady had picked, but everybody has Green Bay in it. So let's move on to his championship game. His Super Bowl is the Titans against the Cowboys. It's a pretty good matchup, and in his opinion, the Cowboys will come out victorious.
I think he's just doing that to not pick Aaron Rodgers and do the same thing as me. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, maybe, but mine, and I want to start the timer for myself too, guys, just to be fair. For me in the AFC, hang on. I have to reset the timer because I set it for 5 seconds.
We're professionals here, folks.
I set it for 5 seconds just to mess with Jessica when she wanted to go back. All right. So I have the Cincinnati Bengals. Nope, I don't. Yeah, I do. Cincinnati Bengals going against the Buffalo Bills. A little different. Cincinnati, great offense, good defense. They've been hard to keep up with. And I think that Tennessee's lacking in one area, and that is passing offense. They don't have it. If you can stop the run and force Tannehill to beat you, Baltimore did that last year, and they ended up beating him in the playoffs. Buffalo, I think, is going to sneak out of Buffalo with a victory against New England to play Kansas City, and I think that they have a much easier time playing Kansas City because Kansas City's got no defense. Dallas was a boomer bust team. Green Bay is going to end up playing Arizona or the Rams. Quite frankly, they're going to beat either one of those teams in Green Bay. Dallas is going to play Tampa Bay, a team that they lost to by 1 point at the beginning of the season. And I think that Dallas has been the most improved out of the two. So I think Dallas is actually going to beat Tampa Bay to get to the point. This is kind of a revenge game for them because years ago, they seem to always get beat by the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. I think Dallas wins. I think Buffalo wins in a rematch of Super Bowl 28. It's going to be a very interesting game. Dallas is going to have a hard time stopping that passing game and running game of Jared Allen. But I think, and I know everybody's going to call me a homer, Dallas going to get the victory.
You know why that's not going to be an interesting game?
Why?
Because the game's never going to happen.
Anything
I agree with that.
He's a dreamer.
Listen, I think this is the best shot that Dallas has to get to the Super Bowl. And it's no team in either conference is scary this year. None. Every single team has lost to or has been unable to blow out teams. It's been a very even keel year. So I think Dallas, with their opportunistic defense, has the best opportunity. But that being said, we're going to move on to our game of the week, our collective game of the week, which is the Buffalo Bills at home against those New England Patriots. Jessica, Break down the game for us.
So we are talking about these games.
We are talking about this game.
This game.
Oh, I must have misread that too. Well, it's going to be 0 degrees, and I'm sure we all heard about the Viagra thing. So
Can you
I'm going to
explain
take
that?
Bills here. Huh?
Can you explain that, please?
Please.
Yeah, so apparently Viagra was made as a heart medicine. So Bart Scott,
Bartholomew
Bart
Scott.
Former New York Jet.
suggested, and Raven.
Yep.
No, we don't accept him anymore.
Suggested that Josh Allen, in order to keep his poor circulation under control, take Viagra, and said that a lot of former NFL players did that. And none of the other former NFL players seemed to think so on the video. So I'm not sure who he's talking about. But yeah, I don't think he's going to do that this week and take Viagra. And I would not want to see it, to be honest. But I do have the Bills winning that game. It's going to be 0 degrees, which Bill Belichick will be ready to play in, or have his team play in, and he's going to capitalize on any mistakes that they make. I do think that there will be a turnover or two by the Patriots as well, and they will have difficulty stopping Josh Allen as the additional threat. He's a huge dude. He's more like a tight end. But our man Matt Judon will try. He currently has 12.5 sacks on the season. And I also think Jackson will be a passing threat with his knack for interceptions. So I think it'll be a good game. It'll be an entertaining game, one that's like, Bill Belichick's easy at adapting. He knows how to play every opponent that he's going to go up against. So it'll be fun to watch, but I do have the Bills winning. I'm going to say by 3 to 7 points. Somewhere between 3 and 7 points, a lead.
That's your median for your range.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 1 and 20 points.
We'll say less than 7 points they're going to win by, but I don't think it'll be more than 1.
So a 1-score game.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
All right, Booger.
So the point spread on this game looks like it's Buffalo at -4, which that means, the odds makers think it's going to be pretty tight. The point total is sitting at 44. I think if this game were happening, a few weeks ago, it would be well over that. But yeah, I think like Jessica, I see this game being pretty close, probably like a 23-21 type game, where it comes down to, just one score, maybe a field goal. I just think that Buffalo is the more experienced team here, especially since they've been to the playoffs recently. And while New England, you can never count out Bill Belichick, I just don't trust a rookie quarterback in the playoffs. I don't care how good that dude is. He's had a great season, and I think he's going to be a good quarterback for a long time. But I think just historically, that type of quarterback doesn't always do well in the playoffs. And like Jess said, I think you said the weather's going to be 0. Is there a chance for precipitation at all?
I don't think so.
It's going to be precipitation the night before, but not that night.
And that's with wind chill, it's going to be much colder than that, I think.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, which might take the air out of the ball a little bit. So I think Buffalo just has the edge, especially being home.
I'm going to be the outlier here. I think this game leans more in the Patriots' favor. Yeah, they lost last week against Miami with a lot of questionable calls and non-calls by the referee. But with the temperature being at as low a temperature as going to be, whether it's 0 or -30, I think that leans more into the Patriots' strengths of being able to run the ball with 3 really good running backs in that backfield. As Booger alluded to earlier, it's going to, make it a little bit harder throwing that ball and for Josh Allen to fit into those tight windows. Josh Allen is a very mobile quarterback. He's the best runner on that team, but that offensive line is not indicative of the Buffalo Bills running backs being able to really break off any good chunks of yardage, especially against a very stout defense, the New England Patriots. As Jess alluded to, Bill Belichick is a master adapter. He's been here countless times before. He's ruined Buffalo's hopes so many times before, and I think he's going to do it again. I really think that Bill Belichick is going to go into Buffalo, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter if Mac Jones has a losing record, if the opposing team scores more than 13 points, I believe it is. I think they've got enough to contain Buffalo in their home stadium and send Buffalo packing once again in the playoffs.
I agree with everybody that this is going to be a close game. It's in Buffalo. It is going to be 0 degrees, negative wind chill. I think Buffalo should have won both of these games during the regular season. I think the reason they didn't is because of the snow and the wind and the fact that they were unable to throw the ball. Now, the wind is going to be gusts of up to like 18 miles an hour this week.
Okay.
Making it a little more difficult to throw the ball, but not 30 to 50 miles an hour winds that they were dealing with when they played in Buffalo last. Obviously, they only threw 3 times on the New England side. Buffalo had to throw the ball a lot, and they couldn't run the ball as well as New England. And I think with the ability to pass the ball, they're going to be able to get down the field. I think Buffalo is going to be ready for this game. Generally, in the playoffs, division matchups they're tricky to pick because they can go either way. You've seen this team multiple times during the season. You know what they can do. Bill Belichick is a master at figuring out how to get around people, how to get, how to pick your brain, how to figure out what you're going to do and combat it. But I think Buffalo has just enough in the tank here. I have this as a 3-point game, as a field goal at the end of the game. I have Buffalo winning this one to move on. Obviously, since I have them in my championship in the Super Bowl. Let's see if I'm right. All right.
You might be right about that part.
Do what?
Because you might be right about that half of the Super Bowl.
Oh, maybe. All right.
Dreamers got to dream big.
Indeed. Let's take a look at the entire playoffs and let's see who we pick. We have only 2 unanimous picks, and that is the Bengals over the Raiders and the Buccaneers over the Eagles. Oh, and Kansas City over the Steelers. So
yeah.
I don't think a lot of people were going to pick the Steelers. They just don't have offensive firepower. But
no, they definitely don't have enough to keep up with Kansas City. But I think this is really just indicative of the season. I mean, I don't think anyone really expected Pittsburgh to be here, or Philadelphia, or the Raiders, which I think is why none of us picked them to win.
Or the Bengals, for that matter.
Bengals were showing they showed out this year. I mean, Jamar Chase, that's offensive rookie of the year right there, and I don't care what anybody else says. But I think this is a great microcosm of the entire season because it's just been so up and down. It's been crazy.
Yeah, and we all know the Steelers are just there to have fun. So,
according to Ben Roethlisberger, let's just have fun.
Yeah, he doesn't think they can win.
You know what though? That makes for a very dangerous team. A team that comes in, nobody expects them to win.
Yeah,
those are the most dangerous ones in the playoffs usually.
Would I hate to see them win? Yes. Would I like to see Kansas City sit at home after round 1? Yes. It's a win-win situation, baby.
As Coach McGinnis said, there is no tomorrow for you. That makes you all very dangerous people.
Do you guys think who has a better shot to win their game, the Eagles or the Steelers?
The Eagles.
Eagles.
I want to say Eagles.
Eagles are garbage.
And Tampa is missing 3 of their.
So many
might be
pieces.
missing 3 of their top wide receivers.
No, they're wide receiver. They have people coming back. They expect this week.
Mike Evans might come back, but Chris Godwin's gone. AB gone.
Terrell Owens is going to play.
Yeah, wide receiver. Yeah, but like they have like Leonard Fournette is coming back. They have outside linebacker Shaquille Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul playing this Sunday. So
I thought what's his name was out. I thought Leonard Fournette was out.
From what I was reading, he is expected to return Sunday, and it's a huge win for them.
But if he does come back, then they have no shot. And I would go with the Raiders over both of those teams.
Yeah, I think the Raiders have a good shot. I'm surprised that's a unanimous pick.
It's Jamar Chase, man. I mean, they have that connection this year to where it doesn't seem like no matter who you put on him, Burrow and Chase are just locked in. And everybody was making fun of him for having all those drops in preseason, but that dude figured out how to catch an NFL football, and he's going to get a trophy, I think, at least one.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about the Bengals too is they have Jamar Chase, Higgins, and Mixon. So like offensively, they can do a lot of things. And the Raiders' defense is mediocre.
I don't know how they got here, but honestly, props to the Las Vegas Raiders for all of the things that they went through this season and still making it to the playoffs. Like,
now I have to ask, how many of you guys were hoping for a tie?
I mean,
No.
to be honest,
in the Raiders game.
Well, no.
To be completely honest, I mean, why not root for that? Because it would have been nothing anyone had ever seen before in the history of ever, where two teams tie, which is normally a terrible thing in sports, but they both get to go to the playoffs.
But if they'd have tied, the Raiders would have been playing Kansas City.
I mean, it was honestly, it's smarter for them to have not tied because they have a better shot of winning this week. But
I mean, I've said it before. I think they need to do away with tying in the NFL. So
agreed.
The players will never go for that because it means they have to keep playing and playing and playing, and they may get injured the further they go into a game. A lot more wear and tear, but it's just the way they do things. All right, guys, that is it for week 1 of the playoffs. Brady, you want to do the honors?
Sure. Well, like Sam said, this is week 1 of the playoffs, guys. We are Pardon Our Picks. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments how we're wrong. Tell me how I'm a Green Bay fanboy. Tell us how Booger has the greatest name in the world. Give Sam some compliments for coming back and tying me for first place in the picks.
Wait, we can't finish with that, by the way. You guys realize that, right? Like, there has to be some kind of tiebreaker event.
Yeah.
Oh, playoffs.
I'm counting these games too.
No. You guys need to like see who can eat the most something or something to break the tie.
I mean, he could always try to tackle me, and if he can, I might give him the win. But I
could also try
oil
to
wrestling
catch me.
Neither of those sound like good options for Brady against Sam.
Well, if you did an oil wrestling match, Brady could slip out of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking
We'll put that on pay-per-view.
I'm a few pounds out of his weight class.
But we'll do a big YouTube live money. It'll be fine. But as we were saying, we're Pardon Our Picks. I'm Brady.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Booger.
And I'm Sam. And you guys
have a great football week.
Great football week. Bye, everyone.